Yes, my name is Samantha Taylor, and I was wondering what kind of experience do you want to gather while you're doing your degree and everything? Because I know right now I'm working in the library here at UNT, but what kind of experience do libraries look for? Do they look for something in their field or just library work in general?
But, yeah, you go right ahead.
I do a lot of hiring, so what we look for, really, I think to answer your question is you apply for jobs, like if you want to be a reference librarian, try to get your experience and reference. If you get an internship at a relatively small library, you can, the way it works at our library, we let our interns kind of mold their internship around their interest. I think it's really good to be well-rounded, though. I know here at UNT, I don't know if this is true anymore, but back when I did my degree, they didn't require cataloging. That's the one area I've never worked at in my library because I didn't take that class. I think that, what's that?
It's still not required.
I think it should be. I think if you are not anywhere near being finished, if it's not your last semester, try to fit it in, squeeze it in. I think you learn the basics and is it 5200? Is it still 5200? It's 52.
I'm taking it this semester.
It's a really good class, but I think if you actually take a real cataloging class, it will serve you well and you'll understand reference. And I feel like everything's kind of tied to it. I don't know if that answered your question. Sorry. But experience in whatever area it is you're looking to work in is the best. And also having the initiative. If you go on an interview and you don't think that you're really necessarily have the background for it, if you show that you're interested in learning, that goes a long way. I think that makes a big difference.
From what I've observed, it's really important, if you can, to have some sort of experience in the area that you're trying to go toward. And that's why practicums or the capstone experience is so important, because sometimes people fresh out of school, they don't have that experience. So they can get that experience to put on their resume and also meet people and network that way too.
My name is Courtney Martin, and this is kind of going off her question. The library I work in, I can't do just reference because everybody does everything. What would you suggest for somebody like me? Because it isn't like, we don't have a reference librarian. We're just one section person. Is there anything you just, no, can't talk. What would you suggest me getting to learn more stuff? Because I'm really looking into being in a bigger library.
But you do reference some.
I do a little bit.
Have you asked your supervisor for special projects?
Not really.
I think that goes a long way. I think sometimes as managers, especially if we're managing a lot of students, we can get lazy too, and we have the library's running just right and we have everybody doing their assigned tasks. But if somebody really shows the initiative and tells us that they want to learn something in a specific area, we can give them more projects that fit, what they're interested in. And sometimes we don't think about that unless it's proposed. And I think just being aggressive and trying to show interest, and that's always, I remember those people too, and they usually get a whole lot out of it. Is that?
I think so.
Okay. It doesn't hurt to ask. Do you have anything to add?
Well, I've got a question here before we get too deep in. From your personal perspective, this is for all the panelists again, what are some challenges you see developing in your field now, from your perspective, that it would help the students to know as they get closer to graduation, to help them prepare for the things you're seeing as a professional?
Just one thing I've seen is just, and obviously you guys have seen it too, just the increase in technology and just understanding, the benefits of technology and how to utilize it best for what your job is. So I think that's a big challenge. It's not so much, well, I mentioned earlier sort of our resources shrinking, but it's not so much the resources, it's just sort of the physical library is gone. It's more virtual now. So that some of the, I don't know what to call them in our office, the people who don't ever want to turn on their computers, and they just get really frustrated when, you know, they don't have the thing that they can touch and turn the pages in. And so just dealing with a different sort of mindset, you know, related to the physical resources versus the virtual and the technology there. I know that's one area that we have a lot of challenge with as well.
I don't really have anything to add. I think that's probably across the board in all types of libraries. That's the number one challenge I see as well.
I agree. Technology, and especially in the school. When I started as a librarian, my technology skills were very low. And the first library I walked in, and the principal said, I've ordered 10 computers for the library. They'll be in next week. You are to order and install software in all the curriculum areas and set them up for the library. And I didn't have a clue how to, and that was Macs. And then I had another library I was at halftime, and they were PCs, and I had to manage those libraries. So sometimes it's trial by fire, but I say as much technology experience as you can get to do so. I got as much as I could because I realized, especially when I was getting my doctorate, that I was deficient in some of the technology skills I felt like I needed. But as a school librarian, it's a mindset also, because I was talking with a school librarian just this last week when I went for a practicum visit, and she was saying how much technology is used, and not new technology necessarily, but like collaboration. Used to, if you wanted to collaborate with the teachers, you'd go to their room or you'd go to the team meeting, and she says now she does most of her collaboration via email, and some via blogs, wikis. But it's just something you've got to be willing to not be afraid to plunge into.
Any more questions? Going once, Molly.
I have both questions. I don't know how familiar you are with this, but in terms of like Facebook and MySpace possibly, or even LiveJournal, I'm on Facebook. I'm in a couple library groups, just the General American Library Association, the Next Gen Librarians, if you've heard of that. And it's like thousands of people, and it's kind of hard to, Facebook kind of blocks you from going into certain places too. But is it okay just to, like, the person who's the creator of that group, is it okay just to email them? And if you have just one more information on something, is that, I don't know how overwhelmed they are with, running their group. But I don't know how familiar you are with any of those social networking sites.
Do you feel an answer?
I don't know about that particular group, but is Cindy Batman? I thought I saw her walk in. Yeah, her through the Librarians Unlimited listserv that her boss, right? She kind of manages that list. There was an email that went out. It was probably a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and it was for DFW Young Librarians, and it was a MySpace group, and I joined it, and they're getting together at TLA. They're, more networking, but the person heading that up, Yvonne Condren, you can just email her. She'll reply.
I have the address.
Yeah, I think you can probably email in. People are, they're heading that group up, they're interested in it, and if you have questions, I think they'll be glad to help you or refer you to whoever can.
All right, no, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? All right. Well, I'd like to adjourn for about 5 minutes and give everyone take a break. I'm going to set up the refreshment station, and we can begin with the networking portion. And if you have more questions, one-on-one you'd like to ask, or too shy to ask in front of the group, please stick around to do that. And we'll continue that for about 30 minutes, and then we'll get everyone on their way this evening, and hopefully before it's dark out and safely on the road. So feel free to take a few minutes, and we'll adjourn in the back half of the room.